up as soon as you're ready. Thumbs up as soon as you're ready, so I know.
Good morning. Yes. Good morning and welcome to Cal Poly's Spring Commencement Ceremony, celebrating the class of 2016. My name is Keith Humphrey, and it is my privilege as Cal Poly's Vice President for Student Affairs to preside over today's ceremony. Commencement is a day that brings us great joy. We are together this morning to celebrate the achievements of our students, and we are proud of what each of you has accomplished at Cal Poly. At this time, it is my pleasure to present Cal Poly's Wind Orchestra, led by conductor Andy McMahon. Ashley Gonzalez from the College of Liberal Arts will be singing our national anthem. ROTC cadets from Cal Poly's Military Science Department, led by the Cadet Battalion Commander Jacob Means, under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Josh Gillen, will post the colors. Please rise and remain standing if you are able until the color guard has exited the field. Please post the colors. Please be seated. We have so many reasons to be Cal Poly proud today. Yeah. As a university, we are conferring more than 4,200 degrees upon deserving scholars. Each of our students has worked very hard, and encouraging them at each and every step of the way have been our very talented and dedicated faculty and staff. Students, let's hear it for our amazing faculty and staff. Also with us today are the many parents, brothers, sisters, spouses, partners, and other family members and friends who had to put up with you when you were in elementary school and acted like you knew everything. Well, today is your day. You can celebrate today because as a Cal Poly graduate, you indeed do know everything. As for tomorrow, well, let's just say there's a lot more learn by doing in your future. Graduates, from wow to now, we have all invested a great deal in your success. You are expected to enter the world poised to make a difference in your professions and through service to your communities. During your time in San Luis Obispo, you have improved this community, and we are confident about the contributions you will make to improve the world around you. A few of you have prepared to serve in the most unselfish way of all. This weekend, we are graduating 8 students who will be commissioned as second lieutenants in the United States Army. We cannot thank you enough for your willingness to serve our great country, and we are indebted to all who have served in the military, and I ask that all active duty servicemen and women and veterans in our audience today to please stand or wave your hand to be recognized for your service to our country. Thank you. Following the traditions begun in the great universities of medieval times, we are assembled today to welcome these graduates into the company of educated individuals. It is a time when we can share in their pride and look with them towards the future. Joining me on the stage today are members of the President's Platform Party, led by President Jeffrey D. Armstrong. Honorees, special guests, and individuals invited to address the graduates will be introduced later in the program. One of the special members of the President's Platform Party with us today is Lupe Garcia, trustee of the California State University System. We are honored to have you join us today, Trustee Garcia. Members of the Platform Party, would you please stand to be recognized by our graduates and their guests? It is my sincere pleasure at this time to introduce to you your student body president, Owen Schwegerle. Owen came to this role with the same energy, enthusiasm, and desire to improve the Cal Poly student experience as all of his predecessors, and he did not disappoint. He invited each of you to find your anchor, that deep connection to the Cal Poly experience that makes this place so special. An anchor grounds you and holds you in place during challenging times, and Owen has been that anchor for the student body this year. Faced with many challenges he did not foresee, Owen rose to each challenge with the grace, class, and learn by doing attitude of all of our Cal Poly students. We have all enjoyed working with and learning from Owen this year, and he has represented you well. So, class of 2016, please welcome, for the last time, your student body president, Owen Schwegerle.
Thank you, Dr. Humphrey, for those kind words. Good morning, everyone. We are all here to celebrate today our success and to honor the hard work that we put in to make it to this moment. The long nights staying awake, doing homework, working on that group project with the member who never pulled their weight, facing the swarms of midterms have all finally paid off. Congratulations, we've made it. There are 4 pieces of wisdom that I've learned from my college journey from people that I've met along the way that I'd like to share with you all today. First is to begin with the end in mind. Think forward and ask yourself, Who do you want to become, and what do you want to be remembered for at the end of your life? Many times, we get caught up in the urgent, doing the day-to-day tasks, and we forget about the important. In the big picture, it is more rewarding to invest in relationships than in things. As Cal Poly graduates, let's strive to be forward thinkers, beginning with the end in mind. The second is to find a cause, not a career. Find something bigger than yourself, something that makes you excited every day. Pursue that passion. It has been given to you for a purpose. Make your positive contribution to mankind. You have the potential to change the world and leave it a better place than when you arrived. As Cal Poly graduates, let's strive to find a cause, not a career. Third, give thanks. Today is a day where gratitude should be something that we all have in mind. As Cal Poly graduates, let's sincerely thank all of the individuals that have gotten us to where we are right now. Let us give thanks to our family, loved ones, mentors, roommates, professors, and best friends. The fourth, the most important lesson I've learned in college is that the best compass you can have guide your life is love and respect. These values are essential to humanity. Humans all desire to be loved and respected. The ancient golden rule still holds as true today as it did in biblical times. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. As Cal Poly graduates, let's strive to treat others with the same love and respect that we desire. We are now setting sail to new horizons, departing familiar territory to sail on unknown waters. In the same way an anchor grounds a boat during a storm, the relationships we formed at Cal Poly in our college years will keep us stable in the difficult times ahead. As Cal Poly graduates, explore the world, but stay connected to our university and come back. My fellow graduates, it has truly been an honoring serving as your student body president this year. Thank you for contributing so much to this campus through your involvements, through your clubs, through your projects. You've all made the past 4 years at Cal Poly incredibly special. Well, friends, we did it. Let's celebrate. Congratulations once again to the Cal Poly class of 2016.
Thank you, Owen. Now please welcome Dr. Gary Laver, Chair of Cal Poly's Academic Senate, who will speak to you on behalf of our outstanding faculty. Dr. Laver.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the faculty, let me extend a welcome to all of you on this special day. Special certainly for the graduates, but indeed for everyone here. Commencement is a unique mixture of formality and celebration. It takes a lot of work and persistence to earn a place here. Along with the credit due Cal Poly's dedicated faculty and staff in guiding the graduates to this day, let's make sure we also recognize the support our graduates received from the caring people in their lives outside the university. The families and friends joining us today are filled with pride, and you might even say the graduates themselves are drunk with joy. Or something. In recognizing the graduates' hard work, I think it important as well to look forward in celebration of their potential. Graduates, no doubt you had certain goals in mind when you arrived at Cal Poly, but I'll bet you quickly discovered that you were in for more than you bargained, that it took more to succeed than you initially expected. The skill set you brought to Cal Poly had to grow, and I would argue the same is true as you prepare to leave Cal Poly. With a successful college experience under your belts, many of you might entertain the notion that education and intelligence are sufficient to set you up for life. I would ask you to think again. These are certainly critical foundations, but poised as you are to leave Cal Poly, there is no doubt your skill set will have to grow accordingly. Permit me to suggest that the best way to share your education and your intelligence with the world is through a commitment to compassion and service. This means a commitment to asking yourself regularly important questions, such as, what does my work accomplish for others as well as for myself? Am I and others the better for my efforts? Am I giving back in appropriate measure to all those who gave me support, my family, my school, my society? Beyond our strong commitment to delivering the best possible education, Cal Poly stands for respecting multiple points of view and for promoting the dignity and welfare of our fellow travelers in life. You graduates are evidence of what bright minds and hard work can accomplish with the shepherding of dedicated faculty and staff. But my limited time with you today forces me to be blunt. What you have worked so hard to acquire at Cal Poly will be diminished if not motivated by goals of service. To put it simply, we are at our best when we are thinking of others. And so, on behalf of the faculty and all of us at Cal Poly, I wish you honor in the projects you pursue and grace in your realization of them. All the best.
Thank you, Dr. Laver. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the president of Cal Poly, Dr. Jeffrey D. Armstrong.
Good morning and congratulations, graduates. Every year at these ceremonies, the president of Cal Poly has the privilege and honor of recognizing various individuals and groups for their contributions to Cal Poly. Cal Poly's faculty is central to our educational mission. These individuals serve with outstanding qualifications and a deep dedication to excellence in teaching, research, and service. This year, the Distinguished Teaching Award Committee and the Distinguished Scholarship Award Committee of the Academic Senate selected 6 recipients to be recognized for their exceptional ability as educators. The Cal Poly Alumni Association, representing over 180,000 alumni nationwide, joins the Academic Senate in recognizing these distinguished teachers and in celebrating the key role our faculty members play in preparing students for success in life. First, the recipient of the Distinguished Scholarship Award is William Simbeida, Professor of City and Regional Planning in the College of Architecture and Environmental Design. The recipient of the Provost Leadership Award for Partnership in Philanthropy is Dennis Derrickson, Professor of Electrical Engineering in the College of Engineering. Please join me in extending our congratulations to these outstanding faculty. It's an honor to present one more award today. It's with great pride that we award the Cal Poly President's Medal of Excellence to former U.S. Secretary of Defense, Leon Panetta. The President's Medal of Excellence is the highest honor awarded at Cal Poly and is awarded at the discretion of the President. There have been only 8 recipients in the past, and today we are honored to add Secretary Panetta to that distinguished group of leaders. Unanimously confirmed in 2011 by the U.S. Senate as the 23rd Secretary of Defense, Leon E. Panetta capped a 50-year career in public service at the highest levels of government. As Secretary of Defense, he established a new defense strategy, led U.S. forces in 2 wars, and opened up opportunities for everyone to serve in the military. Prior to his appointment as Secretary, Panetta served as director of the CIA, where he successfully led the operation that brought Osama bin Laden to justice. Secretary Panetta began his public service career in 1964 as a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army, receiving the Army Commendation Medal, and then served as a legislative assistant to U.S. Senator Tom Kuchel. In 1969, he was appointed Director of the Office for Civil Rights at the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, where he was responsible for enforcing equal education laws. Elected to Congress in 1976, Secretary Panetta represented the California Central Coast District for 16 years, including Cal Poly. He created the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. In 1993, he was sworn in as director of the U.S. Office of Management and Budget for the Clinton administration and later was appointed White House Chief of Staff, working to achieve a balanced federal budget. In 1997, Secretary Panetta returned to his home town of Monterey to establish and co-direct the Panetta Institute for Public Policy, a nonpartisan, not-for-profit study center that seeks to inspire men and women to lives of public service. Secretary Panetta, on behalf of the entire Cal Poly community and with the authority vested in me by the trustees of the California State University, it is my distinct honor to present with you the President's Medal of Excellence in recognition of your career in service to the Central Coast, California, and to our nation. May I put this on you, sir? And then I have a proclamation for you. We are thrilled now to have Secretary Panetta inspire us today as our keynote speaker. Please join me in welcoming please welcome, I just promoted Secretary Panetta. I think that would have been a good idea. Please join me in welcoming Secretary Panetta to the podium.
Thank you very much, President Armstrong, members of the Cal Poly administration, distinguished faculty, students and families that are part of this graduation ceremony for 2016. I'm honored to be here. Honored because I've had a long relationship with Cal Poly, going back to the days when I represented this area in the Congress. And that's been about 40 years ago, and a lot has changed. Students then communicated by actually talking to one another. They wrote their exams. There were dances called mixers. Drive-ins were a pretty good date. And the real action in Cal Poly Royal took place in the streets of San Luis Obispo. Today, it's a lot different. And you, graduates in this class, understand it better than anyone, those differences. There's a great story that I often tell about the Nobel Prize-winning professor who won his Nobel Prize in a very complex area of physics law, who was going throughout the state of California giving the address on this complex physics area. Time and time again, he gave the same address wherever he went. And as he was headed towards Fresno, his chauffeur leaned back and said, "Professor, I've heard that speech so many times, I honestly think I could give it myself by memory." Professor said, "Look, they don't know me that well in Fresno. Why don't you put on my suit and I'll put on your chauffeur's uniform and you give the speech." And they did that. And the chauffeur got up before a standing room audience, spoke for an hour, got a standing ovation at the end of his presentation. And the professor, dressed as the chauffeur, sat in the audience and couldn't believe what had happened. But then somebody raised their hand and said, "Professor, that's an outstanding address, but I have some questions about your theories." Went into about a 3-paragraph question that included mathematical equations and formulas and said, "Now, Professor, what do you think about that?" And there was a long pause. And the chauffeur, dressed as a professor, said, "You know, that's the stupidest question I've ever gotten." And just to show you how stupid it is, I'm going to have my chauffeur answer it out here in the audience. So there's lots of chauffeurs here that know what I'm talking about. I'm also honored to be here at Cal Poly, part of the CSU system, and obviously very proud of what we do at the Panetta Institute and our relationship with CSU. Our goal is to try to inspire young people to get involved in lives of public service. I think that's important. And the students from throughout the CSU system come to our institute and participate in our leadership programs, our congressional internship program, our lecture series, and a number of other programs, and we're proud of that. And we're particularly proud of the participants from Cal Poly. This is recognized as one of the best colleges in the country. I want you to know that. And you do learn by doing. You do learn by doing. But most of all, I'm honored because of all of you, the graduates of this class of 2016, and I want to extend my deepest congratulations to you. You made it, guys. You made it. And your family and your parents and your brothers and sisters and members of your family are all saying right now, thank God you made it. Thank God you made it. Look, you've earned your degree. You're now taking an important step toward fulfilling the dream of a better life. And the dream of a better life is the American dream. And I can say that because I've had the privilege of living that dream. I'm the son of Italian immigrants whose parents came to this country in the early 30s, like millions of others. My parents managed to make it to Monterey, California, where I was born. Started a restaurant during the war years, worked hard. My earliest recollections were standing in the chair in the back of that restaurant washing glasses. My parents believed child labor was a requirement. Sold the restaurant after the war, bought some land in Carmel Valley, planted a walnut orchard. And again, my brother and I worked hard alongside my dad in that orchard. And as the walnut trees grew taller, my father would go around with a pole and hook and shake each of the branches, and my brother and I used to be underneath collecting the walnuts. When I got elected to Congress, my Italian father said, you know, you've been well trained to go to Washington because you've been dodging nuts all your life. Which is true. I used to ask my father, why did he come all of that distance to this country? Came from a poor area in Italy, but he had the comfort of family. Why would you leave all of that to come to a strange land? My father said the reason was because my mother and he believed that they could give their children a better life in America. And that's the dream. It's the dream that we want for you and hopefully what you will want for your children. Panetta Institute does a poll of all college students each year to try to get a sense of what your attitudes are about the country and about our future. The last poll we took had a disappointing result. 73% of those that were polled said it would be harder for students of your generation to achieve the American dream than your parents' generation. And I realize there are a lot of concerns. Concerns about the state of our economy, concerns about the political dysfunction that we see too often in Washington, concern about the bizarre and crazy politics that we see in our time. But this nation and its people have always overcome adversity. And look, my parents had to deal with the deepest economic depression in our history. And they had to deal with a world war that consumed the entire world. but they made the dream come true for my brother and I. And it can come true for you as well, as long as you're willing to fight for it. I had a Jesuit at Santa Clara University, where I went to school, that said, "Leon, God gave you life, but you've got to fight in order to make a life." And he then told a story that I often repeat because it makes a wonderful point, of a rabbi and a priest who decided they would get to know each other a little better. So one evening they went to a boxing match, thinking that if they went to events they would talk and learn about each other's faith. Well, just before the bell rang, one of the boxers made the sign of the cross, and the rabbi nudged the priest and said, "What does that mean?" The priest said, "It doesn't mean a damn thing if he can't fight." Ladies and gentlemen, we bless ourselves with the hope that everything's going to be fine in this country. But very frankly, it doesn't mean a damn thing unless we're willing to fight for it. Those are the values. Those are the values that I was raised with, and the values that made this the greatest country on earth. And whether we embrace those values will determine whether we remain the greatest country on earth. I believe we are at a turning point in this year of 2016, the year of your graduation. I think America can take one of two paths into the future. I honestly believe we could be an American Renaissance, an America that has a strong economy, strong growth, an America that has the capacity for tremendous creativity and innovation, new technologies in robotics, in mapping the human genome, in self-controlled vehicles, in new sources of energy, in opportunities in space, advances in information cloud technology, an educated and skilled workforce that can meet the needs that we have to meet in the 21st century. Leaders who are willing to govern, to discipline our budget, to reform our tax system, to control the costs of entitlement programs so that they're sustained for the future, to invest in rebuilding our infrastructure. We could have a leaner and more agile defense that could remain the strongest on the face of the earth to support world leadership in a troubled world. Or we could be an America in decline. An America in constant crisis after crisis, politically dysfunctional, unable to govern, divided by our fears, our hates, our prejudices, unable to protect our most basic freedoms, our economy, our national security, caught in a downward spiral of distrust and anger and frustration that has marked the failure of empires throughout history. What path we take will be determined by whether we are willing to fight for a better America and whether we are willing to govern our democracy by leadership and not by crisis. If leadership is there and willing to take the risks associated with leadership, and mark my word, if you want to lead, you've got to be willing to take risks. If that leadership is there, we can avoid crisis. But if leadership is not there, then we will govern by crisis. And too often today, we govern by crisis after crisis. There's a price to be paid. And the price is that we lose the trust of the American people in our system of governing. And trust is everything. In my 50 years of public life, I've seen Washington at its best and Washington at its worst. The good news is I've seen Washington work. Republicans and Democrats working together to find consensus, to govern. When I was elected to Congress in 1976, Tip O'Neill from Massachusetts was the Speaker of the House, but he had a great friendship with the Republican leader, Bob Michel, from Illinois. And yes, they had their differences. Yes, they fought each other in elections. But when it came to issues, they worked together whether it was a Republican president or a Democratic president. And the result is we got things done. We passed immigration reform. We passed Social Security reform. We passed tax reform. We balanced the federal budget. Governing was good politics. That's the way you're supposed to do it in a democracy. Today, in my 50 years in public life, I've never seen Washington as dysfunctional as it is today. And there's plenty of blame to go around for both parties. But the result is gridlock. They're unable to deal with immigration issues, unable to deal with a budget that has a $19 trillion federal debt in this country, unable to fund infrastructure for the future, unable to deal with trade, unable to provide war authority to the president, unable to fill a Supreme Court vacancy. Leadership by crisis is no way to run our country, and it's no way to deal with a dangerous world. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a world in which there are a number of flashpoints that through miscalculation could result in a larger conflict. We're fighting a war on terrorism. We're dealing with failed states in the Middle East. We continue to have an authoritarian regime in Iran that supports terrorism and instability. We have an unpredictable regime in North Korea testing nuclear weapons and ICBMs. The only person this leader seems to get along with is Dennis Rodman, for goodness sakes. A new Cold War with Russia and Putin, territorial claims by China in the South China Sea, and the growing danger of a paralyzing cyber attack that could literally cripple this country, take down our power grid, take down our financial systems, our government systems. That is a reality we live with today. In the face of all these challenges, there are questions about whether or not we have the resolve, whether we have the leadership to confront these issues. Whoever you decide to vote for a new president, understand that there are two tests for that new president. One is whether or not that president can break the gridlock in Washington and govern this country. And the other is whether or not that president can provide strong world leadership in a troubled world. I believe in American leadership. We have faced crises, as I've said. We faced depressions and world wars, natural disasters. We've always risen to the occasion. Why? Because the strength of this country doesn't rest in Washington. It rests in you, in the American people. The strength of this country rests in the spirit and resilience and common sense and willingness to fight of the American people. As Secretary of Defense, I saw those values in the men and women in uniform that serve this country. Men and women who are willing to put their lives on the line. I saw it in the Special Forces, the SEALs that conducted the bin Laden operation, 150 miles at night into Pakistan. And they got bin Laden. And they sent a message to the world that nobody attacks the United States of America and gets away with it. Nobody. These are young men and women who are willing to fight and die for their country. And I often ask myself, if there are young people that are willing to fight and die for this country, why can't our elected leaders have a little bit of that courage in order to govern this country? But it also means that if there are young men and women who are willing to fight and die for America, then all of you have to be willing to assume your responsibility as citizens to fight to make the American dream real for yourselves and for your children. To do that, you have to be willing to engage, to be part of the battle to protect our democracy. What does that mean? It means that you cannot hide from the rest of society. You cannot hide in an iPhone with tweets and blogs and Facebook posts that make each of you islands in the sea of humanity. You have to be willing to engage, to listen to others, to look into their eyes and understand what really makes them tick. We have lost that essential conversation, which is so critical to understanding one another. It means that we have to embrace free speech, not shut it down. Free speech is the best defense against bad government. Politicians should be subjected to criticism. You need to listen to the views you support, but you also need to listen to the views you oppose. A Nobel laureate once pointed out that no democracy with a free press and free speech has ever endured famine. And it means also that all of you have a duty to serve this country in some capacity. Frankly, I am a supporter of the idea of a national service program that gives young people the opportunity to serve this country in some capacity, in conservation, in education, in healthcare, in the military, and in exchange provide funding for your education. Service is a better way to fund your education than taking on a $1.3 trillion student loan debt. De Tocqueville once said, when he came to this country in the 1800s, that the great strength of America is that we consider ourselves family. We consider ourselves community. And we are willing to reach out and care for one another. When I was director of the CIA, I visited a place called Host in Afghanistan, where 7 CIA officers were killed by a suicide bomber in December of 2009. There was a plaque on the wall that had a verse from the Old Testament, Prophet Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 8. And then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?" And then I said, "Here I am, Lord, send me." That, ladies and gentlemen, is the sound of the trumpet that must summon all of us to action. Young and old, soldier and citizen, member of Congress, President of the United States. The call to duty that goes to the heart and soul of our democracy. The responsibility to fight and to never give up fighting until we have an American Renaissance, until that American dream is real for ourselves and for our children, and until we have, in Lincoln's words, a true government of, by, and for all people. And it doesn't mean a damn thing unless we are willing to fight for it. Today, you join that fight. Congratulations, God bless you, and God bless our great country.
Thank you so much, Secretary Panetta, for honoring our students with your wise words this morning. Owen Schwegerle took a whole page of notes while you were speaking right up here. I watched him. He is still earning that degree. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. It is time to confer degrees earned by the class of 2016. All right, so to preside over the conferral of degrees, please welcome Cal Poly's Executive Vice President and Provost, Dr. Kathleen Enns-Finken.
Good morning, everyone. President Armstrong, our faculty has certified that the candidates before you have met the requirements for degrees in their respective disciplines and all the rights and privileges thereto appertaining. Cal Poly recognizes outstanding seniors from each college for academic excellence, college contributions, university contributions, and service to the community. Would the following academic excellence awardees please stand and come forward to be recognized? Chip Hubert from the College of Architecture and Environmental Design. Kyle Alexander Kithas from the College of Architecture and Environmental Design. And we have a third awardee who is not here on the platform with us today, Nathaniel Carson from the College of Engineering. The Academic Excellence Award is determined in each college by consultation with the faculty and is based on achieving an outstanding grade point average and participating in significant academic, curricular, and co-curricular projects and activities. Graduates, congratulations on your outstanding achievement. The college deans and I will now begin the presentation of candidates. President Jeffrey D. Armstrong will confer the degrees. President Armstrong, I am pleased to present Richard Savage, Director of Graduate Education, who will present the master's degree candidates.
Good morning, master's degree students. You are 432 strong this weekend. You've accomplished a lot, and we are a small but mighty part of the Cal Poly community. I'd like to ask the faculty representing the master's degree programs to please stand and remain standing. Faculty. Master's degree candidates, please stand and remain standing. President Armstrong, on behalf of the faculty involved with our graduate programs, I am honored to present these master's degree candidates.
Master's candidates, on the recommendation of the faculty of California Polytechnic State University and by the authority vested in me by the trustees of the California State University, I now confer upon each of you the master's degree appropriate to your program with all the attendant rights, responsibilities, and distinctions. Congratulations. Thank you.
Faculty, you may be seated. Master's degree candidates, please remain at your seats until your row is escorted to the stage.
Kendall Preston Johnson.
Jane Shao.
Kylan Renee Vale.
Matea Andrejic.
Marketa Yelenkova.
Connor Andrew Sosa.
Alec Roberto Zavala.
Andres Eduardo Villa.
Elvis Hernandez Garcia.
Yanina Soledad Halak.
Alexi Coromenos.
Tabish Shibley.
Gracia Aceves.
Jeet Shaw.
Anakani Hurtado.
Matthew Paul.
Jeremy Lowe.
Shubham Gandhi.
Camille Elizabeth Saran.
Seema Venkatesh.
Evelyn Garcia.
Christopher Vasquez.
Sarah Gabriel Steinberger.
Ryan A. Sazer.
Marissa Elena Garcia.
Edward Chi Tang.
Jennifer Denise Kroc.
Alexander Lindsay Chambers.
Brian Murillo.
Kaylin May Pell.
Sebastiano Beretta.
Vatsilia Karanam.
Angelo R. Freeman.
Corrigan R. Johnson.
Jason Swanson.
Travis Merrill Angevine.
Garrett Daniel Summers.
Corey Jasper Newton Ford.
Anthony Sublett.
Andrew Acosta.
Ivan Papalyanu.
Drew Alexander Schultz.
Raul Farfan.
Ryan J. Rumsey.
Christopher Thomas.
Ramon Francisco Santos III.
Clinton Carmen.
Brian Cervantes.
Christine Marie Newton.
Alexis Cervantes.
Brandon Huffman.
Jeffrey San Nicolas.
Cynthia Wernette.
Simon Chin.
Tyler Beck.
Ryan Dean Smith.
Ernesto Jimenez.
Sean Anthony Pringle.
Paul Ian Junco Casabag.
Stephen Ellis Ambers.
Brian Patrick Murphy.
Tristan Reyes Gebhardt.
Paul Sullivan.
Michael Joseph Iannelli.
Christopher Wu.
Lyle John Nemeth.
Vanessa Forney.
Anushirvan Mani.
Carson Carroll.
Eric Francis Dese.
Lana Hotzik.
David Scobonia.
Lucas Rand Carter.
Trent Thomas Voris.
Andrew R. Chang.
J. Robert Giuliano.
Alexander Logan Meyer.
Morgan Yost.
Connor Manuel West.
Sarah Catherine Riesenberg.
Grant Stapper Haug.
Megan Elizabeth Garcia.
Dylan Robert DeCouson.
Benjamin Patrick Buell.
Hanlisa Tran.
Caitlin Jones.
Nia Asmadi.
Carrie Ann Blosh.
Ian Lunsford.
Fabio Mazza.
Benjamin Polzine.
Tanis David Hodge.
Gavin Matthew Baker.
Garrett Ross, Germany.
Chris Pittner.
Noberto Sanchez Dici.
Megan Chu.
Alan R. Rohr.
Christopher Logan Swain.
Alan Demmons.
Rachel Willis.
Eric Van Wyn.
Mattia Gorga.
Kevin Lee.
Christopher Alexander Bowen.
Nathik Salam.
Eric Zarduzian.
Vinod Narashiman.
Tiffany Ann Rax.
Lauren Glenn.
Evan Andrew Droz.
Alan Koronevsky.
Alex Weintier.
Stephen Jew.
Jenny Gong Parawan.
Jonathan Miranda.
Samuel Robert Johnston.
Rachel Diana Quiros.
Leonardo Alexander Frem.
Andrew Wang.
Grant Charles Wittenberg.
Hannah Marie Rasby.
Oliver Kuntz.
Joshua Reynolds.
Joseph Daniel Garrett. Peter Rivera. Yufei Chao Yi. Preston Tyler McElroy. George Rodriguez IV. Michael Jeremy Schuster. Alex Douglas Powers. Chris Ian Lawrence. Ethan Archibald. Weston Mangan. Alexandra Mariel Nauer. Dean Thomas Wampler. Britta Caroline Nelson. Hayden Sivesand. Lakshmi Bharawaj. Asuman Bilgin. And Carl Andrew Miller.
Congratulations, graduates. Please be seated.
Good job.
President Armstrong, I present Professor Christine Theodoropoulos, Dean of the College of Architecture and Environmental Design.
On behalf of the faculty and staff of the College of Architecture and Environmental Design, I congratulate our 329 new graduates. Our mission has been to help you discover your ability to advance the quality and value of the built environment. As graduates, you will become professionals who transform communities with your creative inspiration, intellectual curiosity, critical thinking, and broad inquiry. You will plan cities and regions, design landscapes and architecture, engineer building systems, and manage their construction. And through this work, you will be inventors, artists, analysts, interpreters, collaborators, advocates, and entrepreneurs. You have had a tremendous impact on our college, and we will miss every one of you. Faculty from the College of Architecture and Environmental Design, please stand to be recognized. Graduates, let's show some appreciation for the faculty. Bachelor's degree candidates from the College of Architecture and Environmental Design, please stand and remain standing. President Armstrong, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Architecture and Environmental Design, I am honored to present these candidates for graduation.
Bachelor's degree candidates, on the recommendation of the faculty of the College of Architecture and Environmental Design, and by the authority vested in me by the trustees of the California State University, I now confer upon each of you the bachelor's degree appropriate to your program with all attendant rights, responsibilities, and distinctions. Congratulations.
Faculty of the College of Architecture and Environmental Design, please proceed to the back aisle of the graduate seating area. Graduates of the College of Architecture and Environmental Design, please remain in your seats until your row is escorted to the stage.
Michael Gregory Bauer.
Taylor Stephen Hopkins.
Peter James Inman.
Jacob Westbrook.
Danielle Luis Smoody.
Sage Welch.
Augustus M. Grushaw.
Michael Anthony Orlando.
Rebecca Irene Weissong.
Charlie Crow.
Emily Claire Foley.
Kyle Thomas Rogers.
Emily Jean Morse.
Zachary Moskowitz.
Mark Richard Mena.
Chad Thompson.
Garrett Paul Wank.
Marley Sims.
Tara Ash Reynolds.
Avery Papazian.
Thomas G. Kobayashi.
Michael Ryan Freitag.
Gustavo Angulo Castro.
Patrick McQuown.
Jade Kim.
Gracie Kane.
Camille Gail Jackson.
Catherine Holly Barsanti.
Miriam Arias Hernandez.
Keelan Meertens.
Rachel Catherine Raynor.
Tanner J. Shelton.
Rachel Noel Dumont.
Jorgen Graff.
Nicole Marie Garner.
Spencer Johnson.
Alan Omar Ayon.
Laurelyn Elise Liedemann.
Camille Christine Vantalon.
Emma Peterson.
Stephen Orozco.
Matthew Todd Wiswell.
Doug Leva.
Alex Bellarive Hunt.
Kevin James Garrity.
Samuel Glenn Anderson.
Melissa Renee Shee.
M. Fareed Shahid.
Alexander Arnaldo Alvarez.
Elizabeth Aaron Wong.
Lauren Erica Wurst. Lisa Marie Barrett.
Oratula Ibokuno Lutwata Thomas.
Wayne A. Nemec.
Vicky Robles Arias.
Dennis Conrad Johnson.
Adorina Bate Chucheka.
Nathaniel Mark Amora Abrea.
Olivia Mary Frazier.
Tui Michelle T. Tran.
David Curtis Hupp.
Catherine Marie Cannon.
Alexander Tam.
Isamar Lopez.
Caitlin Milich.
Francisco Alejandro Ramirez.
Mariana Diaz.
Jamie Suzanne Elderkin.
Natalie Bellows.
Nicholas Anthony Perocco.
Moti Tavasoli.
Dean Joseph Craig.
Nathan Edwin Wheeler.
Lawrence Kuo.
Madeline Jean Snowden.
Christopher Ryan Hansen.
Katarina Richterlund.
Chelsea Vermel Keith.
Emma Entris.
Harrison Burkholtz.
Jake Edward Cutson.
Rebecca Jane Watt.
Max William Mueller.
Melanie H. Bufa.
Connor Patrick Davidge.
Luis Mendez.
Thomas Carson Walborn.
Luis Dominguez.
Kevin Morgan.
Agustin Contreras.
Andrew Christian Patty.
Joey Garcia.
Megan Boziger.
Daniel Mark Finnegan Brennan.
Sonia Avalar Castro.
Kevin Christopher Marks.
Karen Bjorkman.
Jessica Aaron Ellis.
Reina Sugihara.
Ashley V. Gar.
Arta Gurchin.
Kale Ann Snap.
Nicholas Joseph Petrarca.
Angelica Kristen Quach.
Natalie Grace Gibbons.
Sheila Vidula.
Sean Henry Westfall.
Madison Busby.
Nathaniel Robert Hall.
Priscilla Alexis Rodriguez.
Great, thank you. Emily Marie Situden.
Frederick M. Svensson.
Lacey Williams.
Anthony T. Tiapon.
Gilbert T. Garcia.
Nicholas Daniel Reindell.
Samantha Laverne Taylor.
Andrea Fernandez.
Yue Kwan.
Samra Wally.
Kevin Church.
Christian Consalvo.
Diane Wing Seeley.
Jacob Michael Ludeman.
Paul Trong.
Tyler D. Tappan.
Brianna Jean Kufa.
Aaron Robert Boucher.
Natasha Reed.
Blake Thomas Reeve.
Julio Mendoza.
Anthony Kashishian.
Satya Taidi.
Parby Budavian.
Jennifer Briggs.
Alejandro Lopez Armendariz.
Danielle Marie Rustagi.
Enong Liu.
Brandon Cornejo.
David A. Simpson.
Rachel Eileen Santolala.
Xiao Hong He.
Anissa Miranda.
Elaine Eugene Suh.
Cordelia Sam.
Paulo Pelagio.
Elliot Gertner.
Summer Elizabeth Spencer.
Kaylee E. Dominguez.
Catherine Liang.
Nathan Wayne Markwell.
Justin Wang.
Kevin Sargent.
Eusebio Santana.
Zachary Taylor Williams.
Salem Tausif Ahmed.
Joanne Kim Williams.
Eli Harrison Beckman.
Chip Hubert.
Sarah Wolf.
Mylin Pham.
Margaret Ann Pratt.
Kyle Kithis.
Claire Elizabeth Joseph.
Shaler Campbell.
Adriana Carlos.
John Calivara Leto.
Zachary Stephen Farwell.
Samantha Aisawa.
Alexis C. Spicer.
Natasha Schneider.
Macy Lee Mockford.
LaDawn Amelie Ranger.
Nicholas Krause.
Rebecca Liang Chow.
Dante Anthony Testolini.
Matt Catro.
Rosanna Esparza.
Victoria Wang Wenjin.
Trevor Ryan Ebers.
Kevin Lynn.
Cynthia Ayala.
Annette Yvonne Lee.
Brian Cronin.
Jesse Michael Bosch.
Ming Michelle Chen.
Nikki Serrano Watanabe.
Eric A. Longoria.
Alvin Chung.
Christian Shannon Fredrickson.
Alina Chen.
Megan Michelle Woodard.
Rebecca Shue Chen.
Anthony N. Roman.
Adriana Duarte Dionisio.
Megan W. Sia.
Alexa Y. Chan.
Stephanie L. Carl.
Candace Nicole Stevens.
Angela Wingsum Ao Young.
Kevin Smith.
Zachary Alkshumoff Heist.
Jacob Haig.
Charles Andrew III.
Brian Knuckles.
Alexander John Jewell.
Jocelyn Kenmotsu.
Megan L. Jones.
Randall Christopher Cordova.
Christy Barbara Dorothy Kusa.
Austin Jake Bobo.
Juliet Angelina Montrone.
Derek Seaman.
Catherine Grace Jones.
Benjamin Jerry Justice.
Kevin Robert Farrell.
Mitchell Stephen Brodnansky.
Allie Samantha Keenan.
Derek Byer.
Carrie Ann Carlson.
Kyle William Ellis.
Timothy Patrick Pernice.
Daniel Churngming Chu.
Catherine Ruth Garber.
Annette Ortega.
Bryn Aiko Cummings.
Joshua Michael Salinas.
Courtney N. Woodell.
Jack Clancy O'Brien.
Rachel DeBroni.
Ryan Christopher Hamlin.
Tam T. Lee.
Lucas Dunn.
Jeffrey William Armstrong.
Brian Timothy Hutchison.
Nicholas Gregory Hood.
Lucas A. Caruso.
Eric Neil Drinkward.
Nicholas John Diambra.
Jeffrey L. Hadley.
Eric Wang.
Dakshan Potuhera.
Weston James Walker.
Julio Cesar Ortega.
Ryan Anthony Walker.
Kent Beecham.
Shannon C. Boston.
Austin G. Nelson.
August Theodore Misner.
Cameron Derek Johnson.
Jason Angerer.
Holly Lynn Tripp.
Tyler J. Eden.
Lauren Norwood.
Lucas S. Nozick.
Tyler Earl Penato.
Nicholas Michael Orion Troy Carrera.
Cole Ashton Kreitziger.
Brianne Nicole Forster.
David Mulder.
Melody Raybar.
Christopher Falco.
Marina Nicole Rosso.
Natalie Bell Shide.
Jacob Harrison Sadik.
Parker Helene Hare.
Ivan Nico Margarich.
Jasmine Alexandra Lomax.
Andrew Will.
Jacqueline Hawkins.
Dylan Gutierrez.
Alex C. Docus. Sandra Guerra. Tori Elizabeth Peth. Maya E. Heron.
Congratulations, graduates. Okay. At this time, we would like to present 2 posthumous degrees from the College of Engineering. These degrees are being presented to celebrate the lives, hard work, and memory of these wonderful students. The first degree is being presented to Mary Paraka and Randy Kingsbury on behalf of their son, Ian Kingsbury. Our second degree is being presented to Carla Chandler on behalf of her son, Daniel McBroom. President Armstrong, I now present Dr. Deborah Larson, Dean of the College of Engineering.
Okay.
On behalf of the faculty and staff of the College of Engineering, I welcome our more than 1,000 baccalaureate and master degree candidates to the professions of engineering and computer science. Our mission in the college has been to prepare you for careers as day one ready professionals, ready to meet the challenges of the 21st century. As engineers and computer scientists, you will shape the future. You will serve humanity, grow new economies, explore new frontiers, sustain ecosystems, defend, secure, and build. As graduating students of Cal Poly, you have already helped to shape our future by being a part of our community. Look forward while also representing Cal Poly with professionalism, dignity, and innovation. Be forever a Cal Poly engineer, shaping a better future with every choice you make today and in the future. Faculty from the College of Engineering, please stand to be recognized. Bachelor degree candidates from the College of Engineering, please stand and remain standing. President Armstrong, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Engineering, I am honored to present these candidates for graduation.
Bachelor's degree candidates, on the recommendation of the faculty of the College of Engineering and by the authority vested in me by the trustees of the California State University, I now confer upon each of you the bachelor's degree appropriate to your program with all attendant rights, responsibilities, and distinctions. Congratulations.
Faculty of the College of Engineering, please proceed to the back aisle of the graduate seating area. Graduates of the College of Engineering, please remain in your seats until your row is escorted to the stage.
William Shires. Stephen Villanueva. Arseny Kotov.
Ryan M. Mateo.
Omar Antonio. Nathaniel Adrian Holder.
Cody John Hepner.
Hannah Haboyan.
Brandon Tyler Arnold.
Mia Elizabeth Shepard.
Michael Emmett Slevin.
Auden Malik Stepanians.
Joseph William Mahoney.
Matthew William Lee.
Christian Eric Chu.
Kenneth Lee.
Nestor Vasquez.
Chris Lutzy.
Daniel Josiah Gross.
John Ryan Daly.
Anne-Marie Elizabeth Cicada.
Zachary Wiseman.
Chelsea Quigley.
Lauren Emily Barr.
Andrew Lau.
Kyle Joseph Baumgartner.
Ana Katrina Velasquez.
Eugene Randall Kropp IV.
Etienne Urbain Racien.
Jacob Allen Ball.
Kyle Nizzolo.
Michael Fernicola.
Cordell Hollingsworth.
Cale McKinney.
Kevin Ryan Gong.
Nikolai Shkurkin.
Cole Wilson Euland.
Oliver Shaw.
Grant Campanelli.
Clayton Mark Jones.
Travis Douglas Taylor.
Katerina Bianca Soriano.
Colin Thomas Hart.
Connor McDade.
David Nelson Chapman.
Robert Derek Yu.
John Patterson.
Sean Scowlin Yap.
Gregory Patrick Davis.
Derek Chan.
Alfredo Hernandez.
Audrey Claire Brusha.
Luis Cuellar.
Matthew Kyle Smith.
Patricia J. Carranza.
Ryan Michael Akins.
Corey Gutierrez.
Andrew Pimentel.
Stephen Hogard.
Kenji Yakamoto.
Judy Ongji Lantanga.
Russell Kim Wong.
Garrett Andrew Olson.
Manuel Alvarez.
Graham Merrill Copland.
Scott Volmer.
Bryce Cheng Campbell.
Royce Alexander Williams.
Cameron M. Burwell.
Jeffrey Walter Powell.
Richie Ricolco Tolentino.
Vincent Lee.
Edward Martin Pacowan.
Keith Hong King Yu.
Gustavo Alejandro Naranjo.
Ian McCoog.
Paul Alexander Kim Hurd.
Eric Nagaoka.
Corey Davis.
Aaron DeVoe.
Alfredo Alexander Sanchez.
John R. Jones.
Arturo Romero Arroyo.
Andrew Van Meter.
Jose Roman Lujano.
Wendy K. Carducci.
Jamie Lynn Cravens.
Lisa Elaine Vance.
Hayden J. Bishop.
Katie Muirhead.
Brian Evan Liu.
Katie Johnston.
Andre Jefferson Nguyen.
Candace Marie Bartlett.
Ezekiel Lopez III.
Anastasia Kirachuk.
Alexander J. Polson.
Catherine McMahon.
Lucas A. Gnos.
Peter Cattaneo.
Kevin Tsue.
David James Polterak.
Johnny Fain.
Gordon Coates.
Brandon J. Kaminsky.
Devin Carlson.
Matthew Winslow Johnson.
Michael Tvadokleb.
Colin Tyson Campbell.
Jonas Zhang.
Thomas Kelly.
Ryan David.
Donald Joseph Wood.
Daniel Wessel.
Jonathan Rodriguez.
Matthew Chrysler.
Lauren Van Blon.
Bryce Victor Simmons.
Jonathan Douglas Uyen.
Jennifer Louise Rowe.
Jacob Phillips.
Jessica Elena Williams.
Eric David Steuben.
Ryan Lewis.
Nicholas Carl Mutertes.
Regan Rumpf.
Kyle B. Mulbakken.
Lisa Yip.
Michael J. Hausman.
Kiliana Peck.
Stephen Olson.
Victoria Spencer.
Caleb Cho.
Gabriel Pregadillo.
Jonathan Santofranchi.
Andrew Michael Pedroni.
Zachary T. Crawford.
Eric Hofnagel.
Daniel Kenneth Johnson.
Michael Allen Casebolt.
Tyler Nathan Van Eiderstein.
Angel Ayala.
Adam Christopher Whitmarsh.
Cody Anderson.
Elizabeth A. Coffey.
Marin Cousins.
Carly Brianna Buford.
Eliana Stephanie.
Nevada Bhaskara Pandian.
Eli Page Backer.
Jason Shia.
Jennifer Irene Ford.
Bijan Fakili.
Ryan Bruce.
Wesley Anthony Messino.
Kevin Nicholas Cole.
Nicholas Verbos.
Alyssa Danielle Cheney.
Richard Ratner.
Brett Thomas Campbell.
Rigoberto Guzman.
James Verco.
Joel Cortez.
Ivan Paul Cheng.
Stephen Sipple.
Chao Di Lao.
Joshua J. Fisher.
Vinay Kumau Vitapelli.
Jackson Strand.
Victor Emmanuel Pierre Lopez.
Jacob Russell Hardy.
Austin Bernie Haynes.
Helen Harry Huang.
Kelsey Marie Belmont.
Samantha Ray Bouillon.
Luke Anthony Whitmarsh.
Gerardo Sevilla.
Mark Wasson.
David Kirai.
Trevor William Buck.
Kevin Hongtongsak.
Gerard Boberg.
Connor Clinton Brown.
Matthew Tier.
Dan Bifus.
James Dakota Walker.
John Alexander Zebart.
Andrew Ward.
Anthony Joseph Lunardi.
Kay Tran.
Brandon James Baldwin.
Christian F. Buckley.
Eric James Rice.
Will Martin.
Jacob Michael Bassetti.
James Thomas Pilkington.
Peter Stephen Hernandez.
Kent Majewski.
Dakota Adams Bass.
Megan Francis McCabe.
Alexander Sergeyevich Petrov.
Melanie Claire Thatcher.
Derek Joseph Piestrelli.
Brandon J. Clark.
Samuel Allen Marchant.
Sean Marpo.
Jose Armando Villa Gomez.
James T. Grider III.
Tyler Jeffrey Whalen.
Irons Joshua Armosolo Afable.
Max Linsenbard.
Gabrielle Sue.
David Lloyd Zinnikis.
Kyle Russell Marquez Weeks.
Tyler Makana Mao.
Evan Alexander Kirkbride.
Allison Elizabeth Went.
Juntan Song.
Nicole Ann Slagle.
Luis Descanso.
Rihanna Uppel.
Thomas Allen Schmeling.
Michelle Marie Crispin.
Eric Duran Rendon.
Jonathan Amire.
Christian William Bunshu.
Daniel Johnson.
Stephen Quancy.
Jonathan Douglas Baird.
Walter Devin Bennett.
Christopher Clark.
Mickey Mackle.
Nicole Emelita Giusti.
Zachary Kedwin Powell.
Savannah Mayfield Smith.
Leon Carter Price II.
Zia Syed.
Corey Daniel Wilson.
Rami Seifan.
Peter Lee Tron.
Omar Masood.
Jeffrey Tang.
Wase Qureshi.
Alex Vo.
Arkady Kraminsky.
Alejandro Rosas.
Daniel Wayne Kwan.
Frank Nguyen.
Scott Austin Smith.
Darren Oreta Mystica.
Renan Rashid Modesto.
Shoshana Hillary Baumgold Young.
Ryan Wenbin Huang.
Jennifer Arianas.
Engelbert Deek.
Kyle DeVlute.
Trevor Allen Hoy.
Candace Rickman.
Matthew Albert Moe.
Trisha Eframehea Santa Maria.
Benjamin Craw.
Jonathan Antonio Dodero.
Ashley May Riot.
Sabrina Waydock.
Carolyn Jane Honeycutt.
Nicole Marie Perego.
Sarah Bolton.
Christopher F. Ing.
Dominique Henry Porcincula.
Albert C. Chan.
Christopher Luis San Nicolas.
Gregory Rafi Bagdikian.
Samuel Oliver Liam Fleet.
Robert Burt.
Ryan Shigeru Hamamura.
Drew Derek Wilner.
Brady Abraham Hibb.
Rebecca Joyce Rutherford.
Roxanne Bela Hoffman.
Alfredo Sacedo.
Trina Hawk.
Adam Jason Fry.
Amy Irene Strickland.
Albert Duglawi.
Gregory Andrew Ritchie Sawyers.
Timothy Raymond Bass.
Kevin Tom.
Kevin Tremaine.
Drew Edward Donlan.
Shane Michael McNeil.
Julia Elizabeth Remnant.
Andrew Kyle Escamilla.
Melanie Jean Reese.
Sean M. Carter.
Blair McCreary.
Sean T. Chappell.
Anna McCreary.
Nathaniel Bryan.
Janeta Delich.
Danielle Williams.
Victoria Mailing Mark.
Alexander Newman Kavanaugh.
Monica Fiedler Ross.
Jacob Williard.
Hannah Johnson.
Graham Goodwin.
Caitlin Christine Hicks.
Anmol Mather.
James Bensley Dillon.
Stephen Schwartz.
Cody W. Sears.
Peter Broadstone.
Isha Joshi.
Mitchell Lane.
Varsha Ropredi.
Justin Mitchell.
Jonathan Lin.
Ang Huang.
Colin Christopher Adams.
Devlin Stewart.
Alec Chung.
Gregory Day.
Romil Nathan.
Kevin Hale.
Bomek Kotecha.
Jackson Yamasaki.
Nab Sengupta.
Daniel Scott Pearson.
Ryan Timothy Payne.
Jackie Leung.
Christopher Tanner Coleman.
Jefferson Y.K. Sue.
Tanner Cook.
Rich Kircher.
Jim Vang.
Andrea Savage.
Jason Pan.
Madeline Kiana Ramos.
Kevin Min Fan.
Austin Stephen Wynn.
Omar Huizar.
Max McEwen.
Christian Santoyo.
Leah Moore.
August Theodore Meisner.
Lyndall Colerain.
Brian James Kwan.
Brian Kadzada.
Mireya Garcia.
Malika Potter.
Carla Castro.
Gabriel Hernandez.
Monica A. Navarro.
Benjamin Munoz.
Alexander Sandoval.
Emily Gus.
Andrew McInnes.
Miriam Craig.
Connor McKay.
Sean Day.
Scott David Miller.
Grace Ariuna Cowell.
Jacob Daniel Whelan.
Michael Valente Schwartz.
Alex Thomas Nolan.
Calvin Jeffrey Noetzel.
Douglas Clayton McLeod.
Robert Myers.
Emmett Loser Ross.
Marcus Anthony Pereira.
Alexander Gasper.
Tanner Pappenfuss.
Brett Michael Omsberg.
Leonardo Arroyo.
Travis E. Michael.
Lance T. Collins.
Matthew James Hennis.
Bibiana Coach.
Daniel Rostam.
Tommy Duong.
Matthew Bradley Lynn.
Nishant Matu.
Bradley Bryce Pavey.
Tyler Huke.
Caleb Porter.
Jonathan Lance.
Justin Kusi Zeman.
Christina Sardo.
Brian Hay Fong.
Lance Bocher.
Chris Welch.
Matthew Eric Austin.
Nathan Carson.
Spencer Kyle Schatz.
Scott R. Vanderland.
Curtis Andrew Hodson.
Ellis Good.
Jared Thomas Kirk.
Wesley Ian Chan.
Blaine Paul Elkers.
David Michael Ritter.
Brandon James Stitt.
Alex Stephen Tyke.
Shelby Ann Richardson.
David Michael Van Workum.
Jimmy Tang.
Michael Lenz.
Massey Miri.
Benjamin Alder Krumholtz.
James Henry Ralston.
Jocelyn De Leon.
Taylor Anthony Downey.
Edgard A. Aroliga.
Tyler Douglas Huff.
Michael Gregory Triplett.
Christina Irene Forstick.
Robert Leighton Potter.
Alexandra Nicole Lustig.
Megan Elise Buck.
Mark Olivier Sidor.
Jalen Emil Garcia Collado.
Duncan Joseph Davis Hall.
Jared Michael Huggins.
Kyle Gilbert.
Megan Graham.
John William Hamilton.
Alexander DeMello.
Kian Keshgar.
Brian James Canavan.
Brett Tangway.
Letty Toratil.
Daniel Vogel.
Kristen Limos.
Matthew Douglas Mertz.
George Navarro.
T. Mitchell McGee.
Josue David Preciado.
Danner Prus.
Abel Estrada.
Nicole Waniek.
Javier Ernesto Garcia.
Hannah Jackson.
Kyle A. Potest.
Anthony John Unuzi.
Michael Mooney.
Juan Alonso Arambula.
Jose Coronel.
Oberon Lopez.
Kira Haldeman.
Corinne Hedrick.
Mary Catherine Prescott.
Jennifer Lauren Manning.
Dennis Gelman.
Dana Elizabeth Clark.
Jasenia Garcia Rovetta.
Catherine Chambers.
Nadia Jasmine Carroll.
Brian Kraft.
Lindsay Rose Chase.
Brian Hua.
Alexa Joy Coburn.
Anthony Luong.
Sean Edward Fowler.
Stephen Etheridge.
Chad Jeremy Chamberlain.
Jenton Moe.
Lauren Ellie Holner.
Emily Deans.
Matthew West.
Lauren Nicole Barnes.
Richard Doyle.
Ian Mackenzie Leonard.
Dennis Gorston.
Bart Bullero Hardwick.
Robert Corey Malloy.
Theodore Vasily Sinakis.
Michael Agavo.
Brian Patrick Bly.
Jesus Garcia.
James Mitchell Selaney.
Oscar Andrade.
Matthew Andrzik.
Riley Quine.
Khaki Payne.
Marlene Natalie Troncoso.
Kevin Xavier Lansang.
Theodore N. Newman.
Andrew Reinman.
David Onsi Shanuda.
Richard Squarey.
Colin Thomas Miller Murphy.
Carrie Jowie Wu.
Tyler Watkins.
Yike William Shu.
Kendall Ruggles.
Stephen Castaneda.
Danielle Bierman.
Cody Lee.
Yang Pan.
Austin Stuckey.
Kyvon Vincent Brown.
Vivian Clement.
Kevin Taylor Huntington.
Austin Farrow.
Drew Miller.
Sophie Rotkovich.
Douglas Foyles.
Braden James.
Joseph Lines.
Munir Mahir Francis.
Caitlin Elise Castillo.
Dewatch Efe.
Casey Nicole Carson.
Lucas O'Neill Salisbury.
Allison Taylor Chambon.
Dat Tran.
Lauren K. Falk.
Connor Beauvais.
Claire Castillo.
Creed Borden.
Stephen Gregory Montevideo.
Curtis Way.
Gregory Lewis Coker.
Kariana Uchiumi.
Elliot Cushman Khan.
Shayna Jung.
Nicholas Hill Coffey.
Sean McWilliams.
Jonathan Daniel Peterson.
Joyce Lynn.
Anthony James Espita.
Aaron Lee.
Michael Sajesi.
Yuzo Makatani.
Samuel John Mello.
Brandon Diggs.
Monty Dodge Jr.
Braxton Zellin Colors.
Trent Canales.
Krishna Kinglalu Gandhi.
Timothy Hoekstra. Clay Farrell Booker.
Abdullahi Ahmed Easy.
Ross Carlos Heyman.
Nehad Abdulaziz Dababo.
Michael Russell Parker.
Randeep Rana.
Samuel James Feltkeller.
Juan Carlos Farrell.
Kevin Daly.
Megan Durante.
Elizabeth Cherie Looper.
Emily Colleen Woods.
Nicholas Tristan Sebastian Hayes.
Sarah K. Sullivan.
Matthew Patrick Epperson.
Andrew Evans.
John Allen Favaza II.
Brandon Kirkland.
Casey James Glasgow.
Brett Colteau.
Ryan Peterson.
Christopher Kirby Ewing.
Diego Fernandez.
Kirsty Fung.
Daniel Rodriguez.
Tom Geranius.
Michael Rush.
Michael Walter Nordman.
Jaime Barcelos Cruz.
Eric D. Skinkiss.
Roxana Ramos.
Christopher Matthew Messerer.
Jordan G. Tang.
Brian Michael Holland.
Benjamin Lee Lin.
Brandon Hoy.
Myron Zhang Zhao.
Amanda Tuan.
Carmen Dang.
Victor Zellweger.
Tammy Kong.
Joshua Alexander Hufford.
Adam J. Smith.
Robert L. Jones.
Zachary Thomas Crandall.
Charles Tao.
Anand Mongol.
Brian Carrion.
Brett Harrison Johnson.
Mariel Kelsey Sanchez.
Brendan Thomas Cunan.
Robert James Weber.
Peter Sindrini.
Andrew Jacob Schneider.
Christopher Shanahan.
Jonathan William Rich.
Donald Coleman Badgley.
Xavier M. Roy.
Shane Abraham Sywarts.
Jake W. Ragg.
John Michael Culleton II.
Richard Alexander Garrison.
Colin James Smith.
Samantha Nicole Kinn.
Trevor L. Ellsbury.
Alexandra Kava.
Maxwell Kellogg.
Anusha Praturu.
Neil Rajesh Patel.
Sarah Ann Grice.
Aditya Varkade.
Sam Thompson.
Boris Swami.
Jared Scott Becker.
Matthew Samuel Bisson.
Alec Lindquist.
Ka Leong Tong.
Dylan Lee Sigley.
Max Crane.
Brian Hardoin.
Thomas Lovejoy.
Rocco Latanzio.
Dylan Rinker.
Vignesh Kalidas.
Dominic Lorenzo Sanchez.
Daniel Vincent Griffith.
Michelle Madonna Reed.
Jill Nicole Thetford.
James Turner Robert Nicholas.
Jason Widjaja.
Amber McAllister.
Salvatore Monfort.
Gabriel Arteaga.
Salvatore Monfort.
Jacob Wayne Copas.
Zane Stephen Patterson.
Michael Conrad Stinson.
Ruben Puentes.
Akshay Sharma.
Mashuk Pandey.
Jonathan Elfar.
Philip Howard Tran.
Aaron S. Newberg.
Trevor James Bear.
Justin Selyona.
Sagar Kotari.
Trevor Lauritsen.
Tyler White.
Nicholas Robert Hessenberger.
Dirk W. Pantone II.
Abigail Marie Bertholf.
Kurt S. Moppin.
Sarah DeHell.
Lucian Miller.
Andrew Young Lee.
Quinn Jefferson Kesser.
Christopher Ragasa.
Jaron Kyle Sampson.
Kelsey Bashastari.
Ian Peterson.
Alexander Carter Miller.
Zachary Moy Arend.
Stephen Thon.
Andrew James Dufresne.
Kevin Daniel Castro.
Jameson Lee.
Taiki Murakami.
Benedict John Feston Samoy.
Vittorio Monteverde.
Andrew Lingot.
Julia T. Hall.
Anthony Villanueva.
Bryce Kiefer.
Timothy Angelus Accorda.
Kyle D. Kuhn.
Kevin Jeremy Watson.
Stephen James Eldridge.
Christian Pierce Cross.
Thomas Edward Tolley.
Ryan Piwira Sutarji.
Thomas Wang.
Keith Abdullah.
Naveen Beasley.
Calvin Choi.
Alex Choi.
Dylan Abraham Dixteen.
Lawrence Lei Yang.
Eric Preston Pinuelas.
Brooks Michael Kelly.
Jessica Marie Duffy.
Inderpreet Binning.
Bridget Miley Garlinghouse.
Eduardo Morales.
Jackson Thomas DeVita.
Jimmy He Quach.
Ian Lamond.
Vincent Gakad.
Mickey O'Crowley.
Kellen Alexander Poston.
Richard Riedel.
Kurt Michael Beskey.
Sarah Mason.
Ryan Patrick Blodgett.
Kenya Roxana Vargas.
Kevin Pham.
Mason Alexander Garcia.
Peter Chu.
Juan Pablo Quinones Weston.
Eric Tran.
Gregory Raymond Gunyon.
Ronald Lamb.
Dustin T. Cash.
Thomas Parker Mills.
Melissa L. Pasa.
Jacqueline Svoboda.
Tyler J. Eschenbach.
Samantha B. Rollins.
Ross Harrison Byers.
Gino Anthony Cockrum.
Allison Renee Myers.
Renee Velasquez.
Oh, poor David.
Ana Claudia Cubas. Taylor Allen Young. Jeffrey Lugins. Kurt Wade Zeller. Aldo Garcia. Eunice Santiago. James Bernal.
Let's hear it for our graduates. Yeah. They earned it. They deserve your applause. Many, yes, keep it going. Many of the proud supporters in the audience today have an exceptional sense of pride at this moment. Today marks an extraordinary day for the families of Cal Poly graduates who have chosen to continue their Mustang legacy. Many of you in the audience are Cal Poly proud alumni, and you may remember with vivid clarity the sense of pride and excitement you felt when you graduated from Cal Poly. At this time, I would like to ask anyone in the audience, the proud families, supporters, friends, and parents who are Cal Poly proud alumni, to please stand if you are able and be recognized. Welcome home. Welcome home, and remember, you are always part of the Mustang family. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Kirsty McPherson Boyette, President of the Cal Poly Alumni Association, to welcome our graduating class into the community of Cal Poly alumni.
Thank you, Dr. Humphrey. Welcome, graduates, to the family of 180,000 Cal Poly proud alumni. As president of the Alumni Association, I am honored to present you with a gift symbolizing your membership to the Mustang family for life. Graduates, please stand and remove the pin from your Cal Poly bag as I ask ASI President Owen Schwingerly to return to the podium. Graduates, it is my distinct pleasure to lead you in a special part of today's celebration, to present each of you with the Cal Poly Proud Pin as a gift from your Alumni Association. As you pin your neighbor and embark on your next journey, remember that as alumni, you'll always represent Cal Poly. And with this, we'll always be your home. So stay connected, congratulations, and go Mustangs.
That's fantastic. Graduates, you may be seated. We're nearing the end, graduates. You did it. You made it. Do you remember your first days on campus? Seeing your dorm room for the first time? Walking around campus with other wowies? Do you remember the time you and another person said, did we just become best friends? Best friends for life? When you arrived on this beautiful campus for the first time, did you imagine this day, as Vice President Humphrey likes to say, from wow to now? You did it. Give yourself a round. Graduates, this is a journey you did not take alone. We must recognize the faculty and staff who worked hard to teach you, to feed you, to support you, and inspire you. They have dedicated their professional lives to your success. Will our faculty and staff in attendance please stand or please wave? Please join me in saying thank you and applauding these outstanding professionals. Thank you. You may be seated. Graduates, we also need to recognize your strongest supporters. The people have given their boundless love, encouragement, and yes, financial support as you move out, and I say emphasize, move out into the world. Your graduation day is their achievement too. Will all of the parents, grandparents, siblings, spouses, parents, and other supporters please stand if you can or wave? Again, we say thank you and we applaud you. Thank you. You may be seated. Graduates, each and every one of you has a story. The story of what brought you to Cal Poly and how each of you made it across the stage today. All the stories of this spring's 4,200 graduates are powerful in their own way. I just want to share two stories very briefly. Eusebio Santana grew up in Mexico and entered Cal Poly as a transfer student 3 years ago. Today, despite English being his second language and despite 3 major cancer surgeries and 2 rounds of radiation treatments, Eusebio is graduating with a degree in architecture. He credits his doctors, his academic counselors, and the architecture faculty for his success. We salute you. Congratulations. Next, I want to recognize Braxton Cullors, a graduate of Highland High School in Palmdale, is graduating today with a degree in aerospace engineering and a job with Boeing. Braxton has been a leader on campus and off, serving as president of the National Society of Black Engineers. She's proud of her accomplishments as well as she should be. Braxton, where are you? Congratulations. These are just 2 stories that we celebrate today. There are many, many other stories of overcoming challenges, stories of a passion for Cal Poly, stories of appreciation for everyone in our lives who helped us get to where we are today. Graduates, in a functional way, today is an end. You went to class, you passed the exams, right? Okay. You earned the credits you need, and now you'll load up your suitcases and cars and drive and fly away from Cal Poly. But today is just the beginning of adventures and successes that await you in life. We have high expectations of you, which I know can induce a bit of anxiety and stress. But you know what? You're ready. You're prepared for what life will bring. Things won't always go your way, and life won't always be fair. You will undoubtedly make mistakes. That's not failure. That's called experience. It's called learn by doing. And as a Mustang, you know how to learn from experience. You're ready. And graduates, you're not alone. You now have a permanent bond with Cal Poly, which means you have a permanent bond with every Mustang who has come before you and who will come after. From this day forward, you are forever part of the Mustang family. That may sound lovely and poetic in the abstract, but being a Cal Poly alum is a very real and tangible benefit to you for the rest of your life. Our alumni have forged a reputation of excellence and success because of the manner in which they have made their way in the world. You have inherited that reputation, and it will serve you well. I am confident that you are prepared to follow their footsteps. Through your accomplishments and good works, you will further enhance Cal Poly's reputation, and you will make us all Cal Poly proud. This degree comes with responsibilities. We're counting on you to share your experiences as a mentor to future Cal Poly students. Help them find internships. Urge your company to tap into Cal Poly's expertise, and be an advocate for Cal Poly among your friends and employers. We are counting on you to give back, not if, but when success comes. Be generous in investing your time, talent, and resources to improve this world, to make people's lives better, and to support the institutions, including Cal Poly, that have made a difference in your life. We are counting on you, graduates, to care about something larger than yourselves. Graduates, we're asking a lot, I know. We ask so much of you. We know that you can do it. We know that you can do it. Now, graduates, as we near the end, I need your help. Would everyone please stand if possible? Graduates, this is the part you've been waiting for. Please move the tassel from the right side to the left. This signifies that you are graduates and members of the Cal Poly family. Family member, friends, faculty, and staff, on behalf of Cal Poly, I present to you the class of 2016. Congratulations!
Congratulations, students and graduates. We will now begin the recessional after the singing of the alma mater. I ask that all graduates and guests remain in position until the President's Party has exited the stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, please locate the Cal Poly alma mater on page 6 of your programs and rise if you are able for the singing of All Hail Green and Gold.
Hey everyone, it's Ricardo again. Thank you for attending Cal Poly's commencement ceremony. We ask that you please remain seated until both the platform party and all of the graduates have exited the stadium. A reminder for anyone in the crowd with a mobility impairment, please note that we have shuttles available for one guest and one companion outside of the northwest entrance. If you have any questions, please look for one of our student or staff ushers wearing a green vest, and they'd love to help you however they can. While you're waiting in your seats for your graduates to exit, now would be a great time to download the Commencement app for the iPhone if you haven't already. Don't forget to tag your Commencement photos on social media using hashtag Mustangs Forever and hashtag Cal Poly Proud. Thank you for being here today to celebrate our graduates. Now that you've experienced firsthand what it means to be Cal Poly Proud, remember, once a part of the Mustang family, always a part of the Mustang family.